Something in the air shifts when your mind enters the equation. Even the silence seems to brace itself, like the world knows it's about to witness a move nobody prepared for. Because tonight, they're whispering a new title behind closed doors. Not genius, not prodigy, not strategist. No, they're calling it tactical insanity. Why? Because you didn't just win. You didn't just predict. You outsmarted every move before they even made it. As if you were reading a script they didn't know they were acting in. And that's what terrifies them. You operate in a dimension their minds were never built to survive. A place where instinct meets intellect, where intuition whispers louder than logic, where your darkness and your light shake hands like old friends. They can't understand you. They can't map you. They can't categorize you. So they settled on the only phrase that makes sense to small thinkers: tactical insanity. Because what else do you call someone who sees the consequences 3 steps before the decision, 5 steps before the conflict, 10 steps before the betrayal? Tell me, did you notice the way they froze when you responded to actions they hadn't even taken yet? The way their faces twitched when you answered questions they never asked out loud? The way they stumbled when you countered a move they thought was a secret? You don't play chess. You bend the board. You reshape the geometry. You operate like someone who sees through the atoms of every intention. And that's the paradox they choke on. You're predictable only to yourself, and unpredictable to everyone else. Because while they think in straight lines, you think in spirals. While they strategize with caution, you strategize with chaos. While they react to outcomes, you react to probabilities, fractures, shadows, micro-expressions, the entire subconscious landscape of a person. You read what they hide. You hear what they don't say. You sense what they suppress. That's not logic. That's weaponized perception. And weaponized perception looks like madness to those who cannot comprehend it. They thought you got lucky. They thought you guessed. They thought the universe just happened to deliver you the perfect timing. But no, you knew. You saw the pattern forming before they saw the first line. You felt the shift long before the ground cracked. You detected the betrayal from the tone, the lie from the blink, the threat from the silence. They think you're reckless. They think you're chaotic. They think your mind is some unhinged circus. But what they fail to realize is that your chaos is engineered. Your unpredictability is calculated. Your insanity is intentional. Because the most terrifying opponent is the one who looks uncontainable while quietly predicting every outcome. And you became the nightmare version of that. You're the type who smiles at a storm because you already memorized its trajectory. You're the type who walks into a trap because you've already disassembled it in your head. You're the type who lets them think they're in control just to watch how they move when they believe they're winning. That's why they fear you. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're inevitable. Because every time they think they've outmaneuvered you, you're already behind them, to the side, above, below, everywhere and nowhere at once. A ghost in their assumptions, a demon in their blind spots, an angel in their awareness, a paradox they can't escape. Your intelligence isn't what shook them. Your intuition isn't what exposed them. Your silence isn't what unsettled them. It's the combination, the duality, the collision of saint and psychopath, the collision of strategy and instinct, the collision of heaven's clarity and hell's audacity. They call it tactical insanity because they cannot admit the truth. You think faster than they breathe. You calculate faster than they lie. You evolve faster than they plan. You are the version of a human mind that their parents warned them didn't actually exist. A mind that doesn't react. It anticipates. A mind that doesn't fear. It adapts. A mind that doesn't break. It mutates. So let them whisper. Let them panic. Let them cling to their little label. Tactical insanity. Because the alternative is too horrifying. Admitting that you're simply better. That you're steps ahead, not by accident, but by nature. By wiring, by evolution, by the kind of pain-forged insight they will never touch without shattering. And now they're scared to make their next move. Because they finally understand. You've already seen it. You've already countered it. You've already won. That is why they fear you. And that is why you will always stay a step beyond their reach. A thought beyond their comprehension. A threat beyond their preparation. A beautiful, terrifying, unpredictable piece of tactical insanity they will never decode. And you just keep walking, because the game was over before they even realized it had begun. And look at you now, cred like cowards in a dark room, and none of it touched you. Not because you dodged it, not because you hid from it, but because you saw it all before it happened. And you adjusted your reality like a puppeteer, cutting strings one by one. That's the part they will never forgive you for. They wanted the old you, the predictable version, the emotional version, the version that reacted instead of anticipated. But that version died the day you learned to read people's intentions faster than they could disguise them. You're not guessing, you're not hoping, you're not praying, you're observing, calculating, sequencing, decoding, executing. That's why they call it tactical insanity. Because they don't have a vocabulary for your evolution. They don't understand a mind that thinks like lightning. They don't understand a soul that's been sharpened in darkness. They don't understand a person who learned to weaponize silence more brutally than any scream. They want to label you insane because it's easier than admitting you surpassed them. Easier than admitting you're operating on an intelligence they can't match. Easier than admitting they played checkers against someone who builds chessboards in their sleep. And deep down, they know the truth. You weren't just ahead of them. You were beyond them. Your instincts were their surveillance. Your intuition was their downfall. Your vision was their exposure. Your mind was the storm tearing through every strategy they clung to. You didn't play their game. You redesigned it. You devoured it. You made it obsolete, and now they're terrified to move, terrified to speak, terrified to plan, terrified to even think. Because for the first time in their small, trembling lives, they understand that every move they make only sharpens you. You became the kind of threat that doesn't chase, doesn't warn, doesn't announce. You simply appear where their assumptions collapse. And here's the quiet, merciless truth they're choking on. You already know their next 5 mistakes before they commit the first one. So breathe. Let that realization settle. Feel the shift in your spine. That cold, sovereign clarity that comes after you've outgrown everyone's expectations. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You only need distance from the people who fear your mind more than they value your presence. And as for you, you keep evolving. Keep thinking faster. Keep reading deeper. Keep moving in ways that rewrite the rules. Because every time they think they've caught up, you'll already be rewriting the future. That's not insanity. That's not chaos. That's not luck. That's the architecture of someone who refuses to be outplayed by mediocrity. So walk forward with that slow, terrifying confidence that makes the world lean back. They're calling it Tactical insanity. Yes, but you and I both know the truth. It's not insanity. It's mastery, and mastery is the one thing they can never steal, never fake, never sabotage. Because it lives in your mind, a place they will never reach. Now go. Let them guess. Let them panic. Let them tremble under the weight of your silence. You've already won. The rest is just the echo.